What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mr. Battleball. Today I'm here with another video. It's going to be a Kashtira deck profile. So this is the deck. I built this in Duel Links Nexus. I use this deck when I go play at locals, and I'll play this online on occasions if I really have time. So I'm going to break down the deck profile for you. I'm going to do a little bit of combos just to show it off for a quick YouTube video. I think it's going to be a good idea. So starting off with the main deck monsters, obviously the main three of the deck is Kashtira Fenrir. This card is the best Kashtira card in my opinion. It's second next to the next one I'm going to show you that I really like. So this one right here, main deck wise, is the best one because you can search when you can special summon it. That's kind of like the level 7 thing. If you have no monsters, you can special summon it. And then Fenrir's effect, during the main phase, you can add a Kashtira monster from your deck to your hand, and it's not specific, so you can add itself, basically. And basically, if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can target one face-up monster they control, and you banish it face down. And then that triggers some other stuff. This is nuts. Or if this card declares an attack, you can target one card monster your opponent has, you banish that face down, and then relay you can attack again. It's really good. The next thing going on, this is full combo right here. Unicorn, it got hit the tube because, as I said, it's full combo. So basically, Unicorn going into it, what you want to do is you special summon it and you win the game. On a serious note, you add the spell card that lets you target that you can activate it. You can either add, your Theosis or your Birth. I'll get into those later. You add those. You mainly add this one, so you can bring out this and start doing your full combo. And Unicorn has an effect as well, similar to Unifenrir, but not exactly. When if your opponent activates, now it's if, not when, so you can't like chain on like a monster effect. You can chain on resolution. So if your opponent activates a monster effect or this card attacks, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and you banish one card from it face down. It's like a mini Diablosis, but not as powerful. This card is nuts. That's the reason why it's at 2. And it's really mandatory to play 2 Rise Hearts now, especially for mirror matches and other stuff. If you can't get to it, it's sad times. Kashtira Rise Heart is like the Visa card of the deck. So Kashtira Rise Heart, if you control a Kashtira monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then his effect is you can banish one Kashtira card from your deck as the cost. And then your opponent banishes the top 3 cards of their deck face down. And then he becomes a level 7. It's really good because all your monsters are level 7s, and then you just exceed summon all your cool stuff. So that's the reason why you play Rise Heart at 2. It's nuts too. You can special summon it like in a pinch, depending on how you go. It's kind of just there. It's pretty cool. It needs to diffuse fire, so that's cool. Scarecrow. Moving on to Scarecrow Kashtira. Now this card is based off preference. Personally, I play 2 and the Ogre because Ogre lets you add the trap. Can either add mostly I'm gonna be adding preparations. Big Bang I banish us off a Rise Heart. But with preparations I can easily just keep expanding on my opponent's turn because it's our turn now. And Scarecrow Kashtira, you can just use Kashtira is a quick effect, this Scarecrow, because you can special summon it from your hand and you banish a Kashtira card from your hand or graveyard. So it's really good because you can activate this effect, special, and then banish your Theosis. And then you can just add whatever banish Kashtira card you have. And then Ogre, so this doesn't have, like, if your opponent activates a monster effect. This one is if a Kashtira monster you control battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's, monster effects, they're negated. I believe till the end of the turn. I could be wrong. I mean, it's right there. I'll read it in a second. But let me just over here real fast so I can read it out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player. We don't read at all. Yeah, yeah, to the end of the turn. Almost, yeah, I was right. I don't know what I'm tripping about. Goofy. Anyway, I just revealed the spice, but Ogre has the effect of whenever if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can activate the top 5 cards of their deck, and then you banish one face down, and you shuffle the rest. I think. As you can see, I don't use Ogre for that effect. It's kind of just there. Is it 5 or 3? Yeah, it's 5. Yeah, you place at the top on the deck in any order. So like you just have put useless cards on there. Then going on to my secret spice. It's not really a secret. It's just it helps his deck especially. I played some of the Raid Raptor. I played the Raid Raptor package instead of the Scareclaw package. So the Raid Raptor Tribute Lanius, what you do is you summon it off of your Arsenal Falcon, or you just if you hard draw it, you summon this. Excuse me, and then his effect lets you dump your Raider's Wing, which that play is really good under whenever you're under a Rise Heart or you're under Shifter. It's because mandatory a Rise Heart, you just attach this to a Rise Heart as material. Then since a Rise Heart is a Dark Xyz monster originally, and he just is one, he was it this as material, your opponent can't target a Rise Heart or whatever monsters attached to it with this as material for card effects. So let's say like you have this is material with a Rise Heart. Your opponent cannot infinite impermanence. They can't Valor you, or they can't like target and like pop it. So this card's really nuts. And then going on to like the hand traps of the deck, I only play for monster wise. I only play 6. So 3 Ash Blossom. Obviously, this is the second best hand trap in the game state. And like the format, personally, in my opinion, I think it's like a widespread opinion, but this card, it's the most versatile, hands down, 100%. But this card, this card is nuts. You can like it's like hot sauce. You can smack it in almost literally anything that you can think of, and it works. It's like especially against branded when they're playing their brand fusion and you ash them, they kind of just lose if they don't have good follow up. Which most of the time they don't, unless they're like the best player in the game. But that's enough on Ash. We don't know what it does. Dimension Shifter is the best hand trap in this format. This is the second best, the most versatile. This is the best hand trap right now. Mainly because you quick effect on standby phase, you can just send this card to the graveyard if you have no other cards in your graveyard, which is why it's good because it's a quick effect and on standby. And if Shifter resolves, everything gets banished. It gets sent to graveyard. Everything will get banished from that point on until for the rest of your turn or whoever's turn was started on, and the end of the next turn. So let's say you go first or your opponent goes first and you play Shifter and it resolves. Their cards get banished for the turn, and your cards will get banished next turn. And back on their turn, it won't go away. But nuts. Going on to the spells, I play 3 of the field spell, their Pressure Planet. You kind of have to. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing, but this deck is nuts. This thing. So basically what it does is on activation, you can add a Kashtira monster from deck to your hand, and then all monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each different attribute on the field. So that's like your attribute monsters and like your opponent's attributes. It's nuts. And then it also has another effect of if a Kashtira Shangri-Ira activates an effect this turn, you can target one card on the field and then just destroy it. So like can help you get rid of some other stuff like Fountain if you need to banish it. Especially if you have like a Rise Shangri-Ira and you have this on field, you can just pop your stuff, banish, and just keep playing your opponent's turn to control it. And the gaining 100 attack and defense is really good, especially if you're in a pinch, because you can just keep whamming your opponent, and like, especially it helps you protect yourself. So let's say like you're getting comboed and you have this, and they're all different attributes. You can save yourself most likely, unless you get Punisher and you just lose. But the next thing is Catch Theosis. Kashtira Theosis is really good. It came out in Photon Hypernova. So what this card does is you activate this and you target one Kashtira monster you control for the activation requirement. And then if this resolves, you special summon a Kashtira monster from your deck with a different attribute than the one that you targeted, and it has to be in defense. And like I mentioned earlier, if this card gets banished, you can target one Kashtira card in the banish zone. You can add it to your hand, which is why Scareclaw cast special banish this effect, target, bring something. Now that banish effect, it does target. Just keep that in mind. But this is good because you go Unicorn, add this, activate this, special, all that stuff. Birth is one of the funny cards. It's also a problem card for most players because Birth, you can normal summon level 7 monsters without tributing. It does eat your normal summon, but Once per turn, you can even special summon a Kashtira monster from your banish zone or your graveyard, which is really good because you can just keep extending. And then it also has another effect of if your opponent activates a spell card, you can target 3 cards in their graveyard and you banish them face down. And that triggers them. Basically, this deck revolves around banishing all your opponent's stuff face down, which is cool. And now we banish our own stuff too, going into Pot of Prosperity. And they may be looking at me like, yo, Battle Ball, like, bro, why are you playing 2? Come on, you're supposed to play 3. I only have 2 right now. If I had 3, this deck would be completely different. I'd be making some changes here. And like, this probably wouldn't be in there. Prosperity is really good because you can banish 3 or 6 cards from your extra deck face down, and you can look at that many cards into your deck. So let's say you banish 3 from your extra deck face down, you can look at the top 3, or if you banish 6, you can look at the top 6. And then battle damage your opponent takes half for the turn, and then you put the rest at the bottom in any order. But this card is really good. So let's say like they ash this and you activate Prosperity, you can still get something. When you play the 1 terraforming, it's enough said, just grab this. Monster's Revenge made this card pretty as a secret rare. It's beautiful. But personally, I played 2 Book of Moon in the main deck. Most people play 2 Book of Moon, 2 Book of Eclipse from what I've seen. I know Bren does. He told me 2 Book, 2 Eclipse in the main. I think both were in the main, but Book of Moon, I'll get into Eclipse later, it's on the side, but Book of the Moon, what it does, I mean, you target one monster, face up monster on the field, and you change it to face down defense position. So that's really good, especially if you're playing the mirror and they go Dios's target unicorn. You just chain this, and then Dios's just resolves with that effect. Triple Tactics Talent, I play 2 because there's no room for a third one. This card is good, especially if you get ashed, because if your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase, you activate one of these 3 effects. You either draw 2 cards, you take control of an opponent's monster, or you look at your opponent's hand and you shuffle 1 card from it into their deck. It's really good. And then you have Call by the Grave, because I hate Droll. This deck kind of loses. It doesn't lose a Droll, but it kind of gets slowed by Droll a lot. And I used to play Drytron, and I hate Droll so much. For anyone who doesn't know what Droll is, Droll and Lockbird, when your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, you can send this card to the graveyard for the cost. Now it has to go to graveyard for this to resolve. But if it resolves, neither player can add cards from their deck to the hand for the turn. So next hand trap I play is 3 Imperm. It's really self-explanatory. This card is nuts. It helps you in a pinch. So I mean, this kind of just stops some decks too. Just the 1 Imperm. Like Dinosaur, if they have like a mediocre hand, if they don't have Misk, just Imperm on their Overraptor and they just lose. Or Lancia or stuff. But I mean, this deck in general has a hard matchup against Vanquish Shoal and Dinos. Because Vanquish Shoal, I mean, they just have utility. And first, they're more versatile. Dino just Book of Moons all their shit and we just lose. 1 Kashtira Big Bang, because you can banish this off of Rise Heart. And then Big Bang, whenever it gets banished, you can target 1 Kashtira Xyz monster you have, you take a material from it, you add it to your hand, and you can special summon it. So it's good for you making Shangri-La. You can go a bunch of combos and stuff. It also has another nifty effect if you control a Kashtira Xyz monster and both players have 2 or more monsters on the field. Both players have to banish monsters face down from their field till they only control 1. And then preparations. Talked about it briefly, but preparations, you can special summon during either player's turn a Kashtira monster from your banish zone or your hand, which is really good. Especially for late game, you need to bring your Rise Heart back, you special it. You special a bunch of stuff, you can just keep going combos. Another good effect it has, your opponent is playing like a trap heavy deck, like a Labyrinth or Trap Tricks, god awful Trap Tricks. If they activate the trap and this card is face up already, and you have a Kashtira monster in the field, you can look at their hand and banish 1 from it face down. Really good. Going into the extra deck for the mirror match purposes, I play 2 Zeus because it's nuts. Zeus is honestly one of the best extra deck cards as of right now. Those of you who don't know what Zeus does, it's really good because of its effect of if an Xyz monster you control battle this turn, you can special summon this card by using one Xyz monster. So you can just like smack it on like an Arise Heart or anything. And has a good effect. It's not once per turn and it's not once per chain. You can detach 2 materials from the Zeus, and every other card gets sent to the graveyard, except Zeus. The one Arise Heart, because we can only play one. This card is the best extra deck card in my opinion, besides Zeusy. Because Arise Heart, it's like a dimension shifter. Any card gets into the graveyard gets banished instead. Even if you detach materials off it, like off a monster, they still get banished because it's a Rise Heart. The best part about a Rise Heart, it does have a mandatory effect that's also a pro and a con. The mandatory effect essentially is whenever any card gets banished, it's always going to be chain link 1. You attach a banished card to it as material. So you can use like whoever controls the Arise Heart, they can use their base banish face down cards, which is really good. Which is why we have some prosperity targets here too. And then Arise Heart has another effect that's once per turn. I think it's also once per chain, if I'm not mistaken. You can detach 3 materials from this card, and you target one card on the field, and you banish that card face down. Really good. Enough said about Arise Heart. 2 Shanger Era, because this card, during your standby phase, you can special summon a Kashtira monster from your deck, and then each time a card, like an opponent's card, is banished face down, you can target one of their main monster zones or their spell and trap zones, and you can render that zone unusable, which is really good. And it also has a neat protection effect, essentially to where, like, if this card would be destroyed, like they dark hole it and they don't negate this card, you can just detach material off it as protection, and it kind of just lives for a little bit. It's not once per turn, not once per chain either. But it also has another effect, the zone locking effect. No, even if this card is negated, your zones are still locked as this card's still face up on the field. And then going on, so this is based on preference. You either play one big eye or you play 2 big eye. Big eye is effect is you can detach 1 material off this card and you target 1 monster your opponent has controls and you take control of it permanently. But Big Eye can't attack the turn you activate. Can't attack the turn you activate this effect. So I know at the Game Guys Regional in June, I went X5. I played really badly and I played a really garbage deck. So this kid, he had access code and he couldn't kill his opponent from what I'm getting. And his opponent ended up big eyeing his access code and he killed him with it. It's pretty funny. Draco Sack, because if this helps you with floodgates like skill drain, you can just tribute itself, target the skill drain or something, just you get rid of it. Then we have our Arsenal Falcon. Just I only play this because of the Raid Raptor package. You just Lanius, dedump the detached material, special, dump, attached to a Rise Heart. And then I play, so I don't play Utopic Draco Future right now because I'm still trying to make room and I need to find one. But I play these ones right here for the prosperity targets. I'm not going to get into these much, but this is for I have the 2 Raid Raptors. I have to hard summon this. This is a Book of Moon. If your opponent special summons a monster. This card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect. You can draw a card. Sent to the graveyard just in general. Spell a trap pot, essentially. This card is really good because you can if you attach it to a Rise Heart, a Rise Heart can't be destroyed by card effects. Because if this card uses as Xyz material, your opponent cannot destroy that Xyz material, like Xyz monster, with card effects. So if you have this and this, a Rise Heart's kind of just like unbeatable. Lingaribo is there for Ibly if you can't make it a Donner. Donner is good because you can make this with Ibly as well, and you can target 1 monster and then 1 for a higher monster and a monster your opponent controls, and you can destroy them both. It's kind of there just to get rid of Ibly and other stuff. Link Rebo is just here for his Link Rebo. And then going into the side deck, I have 3 Dark Ruler in here because it's 3 Dark Ruler. It's pretty. No monster effects for your opponent. I mean, they don't take any damage, but it's still good. 1 heart piece for back row heavy decks, 2 thrust. Just let you search, like, if your opponent ashes or something, or like they have Mentor Rise, this card is always live. So you can just search something like an Evenly, Dark Ruler, Dark Hole, any cool stuff that you need. It's insane. Book of Eclipse, all monsters on field get changed face down to the end phase, and then the opponent draws for every monster that's face up. It gets flipped face up by this effect. So this card is ashable, just so you know. But that's the reason why you play 2 Book of Eclipse to get into pinch, and you play 2 Baboon. I play 3 Dark Hole because you destroy all monsters on the field. I love this card, it's funny. And then 2 Evenly Match. Evenly Match on the end of the battle phase. If you can make your you activate this card and you can make your opponent banish cards from their field face down, and so they control the amount of cards you have. So it has to be equal. And if you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. It's really good for board breakers because if you have this on field, they can only control 1 card. Or if they're foolish enough to banish this card, they get rid of their entire field, which is funny. And then 2 Nib, because 5 summons or more get rid of their field. Now, I only have enough time to give you 1 test hand, so let's see what we get. If it's something like really bad, I'll just be pretty funny. Oh, well, I can't show you a test hand anyway, because it's just not getting to the server. Oh, well, that's cringe, but this is the deck profile, and I hope you guys enjoyed, because I was going to show you a test hand, but I can't. It's cringe, but thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you really enjoyed. It will help me out, get me on my YouTube journey. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.